Temperance, the need for a guide. So, temperance is kind of a funny card. I haven't always resonated with this one, and it's been coming up a lot for me in my readings, and I've been learning a little bit more about it. So, this is an image from the Light Seers deck of Temperance, and you have this sort of angel figure with the sun and the moon there. And a lot of the time, the sort of general meaning that you'll get with Temperance is balance. It's putting your energies into the right places so that you don't sort of exhaust yourself. And I love this image, which is from the Dreamkeepers Tarot, which I like to work with a lot in my readings. It's not always traditional, the images, but I find them very evocative. And I really like this image of this idea of kind of putting puzzle pieces together. And I feel like there's a piece here around putting the puzzle pieces of myself together. Maybe I'm looking into a mirror and I'm putting the puzzle pieces together. Maybe I am trying to put the puzzle pieces together about somebody else that I kind of can't quite see in the image there. As is so often in this deck, this figure here has no head, right? Which has something to do with leading from the heart and getting out of the rational mind a little bit, getting out of the intellectual mind, the head stuff, and working into some feeling stuff. And I will also show you the Modern Witch variation on Temperance, which is a little bit more, she's sort of based on the traditional Rider-Waite Smith deck, where you have this angel figure pouring water from one receptacle into another. So a relatively new meaning to Temperance that I hadn't heard of before is the idea of Temperance as the psychopomp, which is someone who guides you into the gates of hell. um, and it's a gentle guide. It's sort of a loving guide. And it could also be to the gates of heaven, I guess. It could be sort of to the gates of the underworld or to the spirit world. And so there's this kind of dual messaging here, because I feel like those are two different things, that idea of needing balance and also that idea of being guided gently into a new place that might potentially be difficult. And so, one of the things I think about with this image, especially sort of these two together, is the idea of spirit guide. Or spiritual guide, ancestor, it's sort of that energy that you can connect to when you need guidance into the underworld or into the spirit world, into that place where you're trying to learn something about yourself, you're trying to understand something that's not so available in that rational realm, and you're kind of seeking someone who can help you figure out how to balance these things. This card came up for me when I was asking a question about how do I balance essentially these different energies that are existing within me. I was sort of noticing different parts that were feeling different things, that were sometimes disagreeing, sort of this part of me that's very sort of hopeful and optimistic, this part of me that is full of doubt. And I was asking, how do I figure this out? How do I hold all of these different energies all at once? And so one of the ways that I am thinking about the meaning of this card in terms of balance is the and principle, being able to hold opposing realities at the same time and just letting them both exist in the same space rather than needing it to be one thing or the other. And, the other piece that comes up for me is just that desire that I have for someone to tell me what to do. When you are confused or when you have a lot of things going on and you kind of want that guide to come in and just tell you what the answer is. And so this card might come up when you're really craving that, you're really wanting to see the whole puzzle completed, but you actually have to do the work of taking that one piece and just fitting it in, and then taking the next piece and trying to figure out where it fits and fitting it in. And so, maybe that desire or that wish or that request is answered, and maybe it isn't. Maybe it's one of those times where, you're not going to have somebody tell you what to do, but you're just going to have to work on it day by day and figure that out for yourself. So those are just some thoughts about this particular card. The way I like to read tarot is very process oriented. So it really has much more to do with your intuitions when you see the card, how you feel about the card when it comes up. But it is really helpful to have some different meanings and things to think about to kind of frame your ideas around that. So if this card came up for you, let me know if it was helpful.